The lotus flower is one of the most profound symbols in Buddhist mythology, representing purity, spiritual awakening, and the path to enlightenment. Its ability to rise from muddy waters and bloom in pristine beauty makes it a powerful metaphor for the human journey toward wisdom and self-realization. Deeply embedded in Buddhist teachings, the lotus appears in sacred scriptures, religious art, and mythological stories, illustrating the transformative power of enlightenment and the triumph of the mind over suffering. One of the most significant aspects of the lotus is its connection to purity. Despite growing in murky waters, the flower remains untouched by the dirt surrounding it. In Buddhist thought, this reflects the idea that individuals can rise above ignorance, desire, and suffering, remaining spiritually pure despite the challenges of the physical world. This symbolism is often associated with the Buddha and his teachings, which guide people toward inner peace and enlightenment. The lotus is also deeply tied to the process of spiritual awakening. Just as the flower gradually unfolds its petals, revealing its full beauty, a person on the path to enlightenment undergoes a process of self-discovery and transformation. This idea is reflected in the Buddhist belief that enlightenment is not an immediate event but a gradual journey. In Buddhist iconography, the Buddha and Bodhisattvas are frequently depicted seated on lotus thrones, signifying their complete awakening and their detachment from worldly distractions. One of the most famous Buddhist myths involving the lotus is the story of Siddhartha Gautama's first steps after birth. According to legend, when the infant Siddhartha took his first steps, lotus flowers blossomed beneath his feet, symbolizing his divine nature and his destined path to enlightenment. This miraculous event reinforced the idea that the Buddha's presence in the world was a sign of hope and transformation. Another important reference to the lotus comes from the Lotus Sutra, one of the most revered Buddhist texts. The sutra describes the lotus as a representation of wisdom and the universal potential for enlightenment. It teaches that just as the lotus can thrive in the dirtiest waters, all beings, regardless of their background or past actions, have the potential to achieve enlightenment. This idea is central to Mahayana Buddhism, which emphasizes the possibility of awakening for all living beings. In Buddhist mythology, the different colors of lotus flowers carry specific meanings. The white lotus represents spiritual perfection and nirvana, symbolizing purity of mind and the ultimate release from the cycle of rebirth. The pink lotus is associated with the Buddha himself and signifies the highest form of enlightenment. The blue lotus represents wisdom and self-discipline, emphasizing the importance of knowledge in overcoming suffering. The red lotus symbolizes compassion and love, qualities that are central to the teachings of bodhisattvas like Avalokiteshvara, who embodies mercy and kindness. Beyond its association with enlightenment, the lotus also reflects the Buddhist teaching of non-attachment. Just as the lotus remains unstained despite growing in muddy water, a person must learn to remain unaffected by material desires and distractions. This concept is a key principle in Buddhist practice, as attachment to the physical world is seen as a primary source of suffering. By letting go of attachments, individuals can cultivate inner peace and move closer to liberation. The lotus flower continues to be an enduring and sacred symbol in Buddhist culture, serving as a reminder of the potential for growth and transformation. Whether through mythological stories, religious texts, or artistic depictions, the lotus remains a representation of the spiritual path. It teaches that no matter how difficult or impure one's surroundings may be, enlightenment is always possible. Through wisdom, mindfulness, and compassion, individuals can rise above suffering, just as the lotus blooms in radiant beauty despite its muddy origins.